Jhansi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi Jaya, Jhansi Maharani Jaya, Vrinda Devi Jaya Vrinde, Jaya Vrinde, Jaya Vrinde, Jaya Shri Vrinde. Right. Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihagate Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihagate Gopi Janabalabha Giribharadhati Gopi Janabalabha Giribharadhati Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Sudanana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachade Jamuna Tira Banachade Jayarando Madhava Kunjavihate Jayarando Madhava Kunjavihate Gopijana Balaba Giri Padadhauti Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Padadhauti Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Banachare Yamuna Tera Banachare Jayaradhu Madhuva Kunjabihate Jayurad Madhova Kunjabihate Jai Om Vishnu Pad Panamahansa Paravictoria also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Friends say Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopa Gopinath Sayam Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturanam Ki Jai Jagadvasami Ki Jai Yamunamaya Ki Jai Shimali Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Haribol All glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Srinivadi Paschatra Dejatarni. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 52nd chapter, text 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Rajovacha Bhagavan Vishmaka Sutam Rukminim Ruchirananam Rakshasena Vidanena Upayema Iti Shrutam Shri Rajavacha Bhagavan Bhishmaka Sutam Rukminim Nucharananam Rakshasena Vidanena Upayema Iti Shrutam Shri Rajavacha Bhagavan Bhishmaka Sutam Rukminim Nuchiraninam Rakshasena Vitanena Upayema Iti Shrutam Shri Rajavacha Bhagavan Bhishmaka Sutam Rukminim Nucharananam Rakshasena Vitanena Upayema Iti Shrutam. Okay. Ruchirananam Rakshasena Vidanena Upayema Iti Shrutam. Shrutam. Okay. Sri Raja Uvacha. The king Parikshit Maharaj said, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Bhishmaka Sutam, the daughter of Bhishmaka, Rukmini, Shrimati Rukmini Devi, Ruchira, charming, Ananam, whose face, Rakshasena, called Rakshasa, Vidanena, by the method, namely by kidnapping. Upayeme, he married. Iti, thus. Shrutam, heard. Translation, King Parikshit said, the Supreme Lord married Rukmini, the beautiful-faced daughter of Bhishmaka, in the Rakshasa style, or so I have heard. So you can repeat. King Parikshit said, the Supreme Lord married Rukmini, the beautiful-faced daughter of Bhishmaka, in the Rakshasa style, or so I have heard. So purport by the followers of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Sridhar Swami quotes the following Smriti statement, Rakshaso Yuddha Haranat. A Rakshasa marriage takes place when the bride is stolen from one's rival suitors by force. Similarly, Shukadeva Goswami himself has already said, Rajna Kramatya. Krishna had to beat down opposing kings to take Rukmini. So let's read this Sanskrit again. Sri Rajavacha Bhagavan Bhishmaka Sutam Rukminim Ruchirananam Rakshasena Vidanena Upayema Iti Shrutam. So I'm going to read the commentaries, and then we're going to talk about the Rakshasa marriages and other marriages. So this is something that I don't want any of you eligible men to hear. The Rakshasa method of marriage is to take the bride after fighting with opponents according to the Smriti scriptures. And that's, of course, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Jiva Goswami says, the Rakshasa style of marriage was best for the warriors. Rukmini is described as having a beautiful face just like the Lord. Or she had a face which was attractive to Krishna, thus she was most suitable to marry Krishna. And finally, Sanatan Goswami says, hearing the general account, Parikshit with devotion asked for more details with a desire to hear. Krishna is full of all power. Bhagavan, the Rakshasa style of marriage is best for the courageous. She was most beautiful. Rachi Ranam. Okay, so this is going to be pretty fun. So, anyway, I'm going to read what Prabhupada says about different types of marriage, and especially the Rakshasa marriage. And then we're going to talk about different types of marriage, which is quite interesting, because there's both in twice we read from the Smriti Shastras, especially from the Manu Samhita we're going to read today, about the different types of marriage, in case any of you girls or boys are interested in marriage. And this is from the Krishna book. According to Vedic convention, there are 8 kinds of marriage. In the first-class marriage system, the parents of the bride and bridegroom arrange the marriage date. Then in royal style, the bridegroom goes to the house of the bride, and in the presence of brahmanas, priests, and relatives, the bride is given in charity to the bridegroom. Besides this, there are other systems, such as the Gandharva and Rakshasa marriages. Krishna married Rukmini according to the Rakshasa system, kidnapping her in the presence of his many rivals like Shishupal, Jarasandha, and Shalva. While Rukmini was being given in charity to Shishupal, Krishna snatched her from the marriage arena. This is what we read yesterday. Exactly as Garuda snatched a pot of nectar from the demigods. Rukmini, the only daughter of King Bhishmaka, was exquisitely beautiful. She was known as Ruchi Rana, which means one who has a beautiful face expanded like a lotus flower. So, and another quote from Krishna book, as Rukmini's marriage with Shishupal was already settled, therefore she suggested that Krishna kidnap her so this might be changed. This sort of marriage in which a girl is kidnapped by force is known as Rakshasa and is practiced among Kshatriyas or men with an administrative, martial spirit. That's also from Krishna book. And then there's a conversation that Prabhupada had about Kshatriya marriages and especially Rakshasa marriages. This is one devotee named Bahulashva asked Prabhupada, Kshatriya marriage? And Prabhupada replies, yes. Devotee says to Prabhupada, even Rakshasa marriage? And Prabhupada replies, Kshatriya marriage. Without fighting, there is no Kshatriya marriage. For one prince, there were so many candidates. So that means for one princess. So they must fight between themselves and decide who is the hero. Then he will be allowed to marry. There was no such freedom. The princesses are loitering in the street, and you take as many as you like. And that type of marriage is going to be described here in a second, where the girl is loitering in the street. The price, devotee says, the price was blood, huh? Prabhupada said, yes. Devotee says, plenty of blood. And Prabhupada said, that is prince. They are not cheap, loitering in the street. Every father of the princess made some bet. Actually, Prabhupada says prince, but it's actually princess made some bet. Just like Arjuna got Draupadi. How difficult it was. There was a fish on the ceiling you cannot see in this way. You have to see. There is water pot, and you have to pierce the eyes of the fish. Then you will get this princess. So many failures. It's not so easy job. See the eyes from the shadow. In this way, you have to pierce. It is not so easy job. And that's from a morning walk. So, let's see. I was going to read some other things here. Oh, yeah. This is about Krishna marrying Nagnajiti. So in this particular story, which I'm going to read in a second, Krishna sort of breaks the Kshatriya principles because he actually begs for the daughter. And in this particular case, this is actually against the rules of Kshatriya Dharma, that a Kshatriya will beg for something. He actually has to fight or at least be given freely. So this is a story from the Krishna book again. My dear King Nagnajiti, you know very well that anyone in the princely order who is regular in his position will never ask anything from anyone, however exalted he may be. Such requests by a Kshatriya king have been deliberately forbidden by the learned Vedic followers. If a Kshatriya breaks this regulation, his action is condemned by learned scholars. And then Krishna says, but in spite of this rigid regulative principle, I am asking you for the hand of your beautiful daughter, just to establish our relationship in return for your great reception for me, or of me, sorry. And in this particular case, Krishna is asking something highly irregular for a Kshatriya. Kshatriya is not supposed to beg. And in this particular case, King Nagnajiti, he says to him, actually, it's not going to work out. You have to fight with the 7 bulls. That's the vow I made. Anyone who wants to marry my daughter, Nagnajiti, also called Satya, has to fight with 7 bulls and tie them up. And so, because previously many suitors came for this particular girl, and they were all mauled by the bulls. So what Krishna does is he multiplies, divides, whatever. He's expert in mathematics. So he makes himself 7 Krishnas, and he takes care of the bulls, and then he marries this girl, Satya. So there's always some martial spirit in these Kshatriya marriages. Now I'm going to read now from the Manu Samhita, because I thought it was really interesting that Prabhupada mentions that there are 8 marriage types, and I was always interested to hear what the different 8 marriage types are for different people. Not that I'm interested in applying any of them, either for myself or for others, but I'm interested. These, like Prabhupada mentions this. And so the Manu Samhita contains the information about the 8 marriage types as well as the Mahabharata. And we're going to read the Mahabharata version in the context of a particular story in a second. So, this is the Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind and womankind. Now listen to the brief description of the following 8 marriage rites used by the 4 castes, Varna, which partially secure benefits and partly produce evil both in this life and after death. So try to remember these different rites. They are the rite, and we're going to explain each one. They are the rite of the Brahman, that of the god, it's called Brahma marriage, that of the gods, Daiva marriage, that of the Rishis, which is called Arsha marriage, that of the Prajapati, called the Prajapatya, that of the Asuras, that of the Gandharvas, and that of the Rakshasas, Rakshasa, and that of the Pisachas, which is lawful for each caste, Varna, and which are the virtues or faults of each rite. All I will declare to you, as well as their good and evil results with respect to the offspring. Okay. And I'm going to skip over part of this because we don't have a lot of time. Okay, so now we're going to start with it. The first one is the Brahma one, which is the gift of a daughter after decking her with costly garments, honoring her by presents of jewel to a man learned in the Vedas and of good conduct, whom the father himself invites, is called the Brahma rite. In other words, the father invites the groom, gives the groom gifts. That's called the Brahma rite. And 2 is the Daiva rite, where the gift of a daughter has been decked with ornaments to a priest who duly officiates at the sacrifice during the course of its performance. And the Mahabharata mentions basically that if the father can't find a suitable groom for his daughter, then he marries her to a priest at a sacrifice. That's called the Daiva rite. Next one is when the father gives away his daughter. Next one is the Arsha. When the father gives away his daughter according to the rule after receiving from the bridegroom for the fulfillment of the sacred law a cow, a bull, or 2 pairs, that is named Arsha. Right. Next one is the gift of a daughter by her father after he has addressed the couple with the text, "May you both perform together your duties," and has shown honor to the bridegroom, is called in the Smriti, the Prajapatya rite. And then we're going to get to the interesting ones now. When the bridegroom receives a maiden after having given as much wealth as he can afford to the kinsman and to the bride herself, according to his own will, that is called the Asura rite. And that's considered low class because the bridegroom basically pays for the girl. That's called Asura. So here's the modern one. The voluntary union of a maiden and her lover, one must know to be the Gandharva rite. And I'm going to give some examples. Which springs from desire and has sexual desire for its purpose. And at least the desire. So an example of that, of course, in the Vedic literatures is Shantanu and Ganga Devi. Like Shantanu was wandering along the banks of the Ganges and he sees this beautiful girl and he falls in love with her, and he says, "Will you marry me?" And she says, "Yes, as long as you don't get upset with anything I do or disagree with anything I do." And then they get married. That's called that's actually it's called a love marriage. That's the modern system actually. Because even though you may have a ceremony later on, it's by people falling in love or people falling in lust or people getting attracted to each other. Another example of that is Visramita Muni was meditating, trying to achieve the status of Brahma Rishi, and then Indra sends down Menaka. And then he sees, this is actually an interesting story because there's more of a love story to this anyway, more of a Gandharva to this one later on. So he sends down Menaka, and Menaka comes down, and Prabhupada said she just like rings her ankle bells. She doesn't ring them, but anyway. He hears her ankle bells, and his eyes open up, and he immediately falls in love, and I think it's for 10 years he has a relationship with her, and as a result, there is a little girl born, and her name is Shakuntala, not when she was born, but because after 10 years when they have the kid, they both decide to leave the kid in the forest, and the kid is protected by the vultures. The girl is protected by the vultures, and eventually this sage, I believe it was Kanva Muni, takes care of her. And here's another example of love marriage in this particular, because then you have, when Kanva Muni is not in town or he's left his hermitage for some time, then you have Maharaj Dushmanta, who comes along and he sees her and he falls in love with her. And here's what he says. This is actually interesting. This is another example of the Gandharva marriage. I'm going to go back to something I had before. So I'll give you a quote from there. He says, thou needest not entertain the least fear. There's not the least doubt that, actually this is from the Mahabharata. He actually quotes from the different marriages. Faultless one, that first 4 of the marriages are fit for the Brahmanas, the first 6 for the Kshatriyas. As regards kings, even a Rakshasa form is permissible. The Asura form is permitted to Vaishyas and Shudras. Of the first 5, the 3 are proper, the other 2 being improper. The Paisacha and the Asura form should never be practiced. These are the institutes of religion. One should act according to them. The Gandharva and the Rakshasa form are consistent with the practices of Kshatriyas. This is what Dushmanta is saying to Shakuntala. Thou needest not entertain the least fear. There's not the least doubt that either according to any one of these last mentioned forms, that's the Rakshasa and Gandharva, or according to a union of both of them, our wedding may take place. O thou of fairest complexion, full of desire I am, thou also, in a similar mood, mayest become my wife according to the Gandharva form. So that's something the Kshatriyas did, I guess, quite often. So, let's see. We read the Gandharva. Okay. So, and then the next one is the Rakshasa one. And there's many examples of that. The forcible abduction of a maiden from her home while she cries out and weeps. And in all cases, she's not actually crying out and weeps. Like in Rukmini's case, she was actually very happy. But at least taking her away, kidnapping her, after her kinsmen have been slain or wounded, and their houses broken open, is called the Rakshasa rite. This is Manusmriti. It's all right to do this. No, yes. It's Manusmriti. Can't argue with Shastra. No, it's not applicable. Anyway. And so examples of that, of course, today we're reading about Krishna and Rukmini. And also another example is Arjuna and Subhadra. Subhadra's marriage was arranged by Duryodhana, by Balaram. And so Arjuna, this is an interesting story from the Krishna book. Prabhupada tells it in such a wonderful way. That Arjuna has left. Well, he actually intruded. Here's the whole story. He actually intruded and took his weapons when Yudhishthira was with Draupadi, so he had to go into exile for some time. So he was basically dressed as a sannyasi. And he was supposed to end his exile in Dwarka. So he comes to Dwarka, dressed as a sannyasi, and he basically becomes interested in Subhadra. And so one day, he's invited to Balaram's house for prasadam. So he's sitting at the table with Balaram and, of course, Krishna and Subhadra, and he's making eyes at her at the same time. So little does Balaram know. Of course, this is Yogamaya. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Little does Balaram know that the sannyasi is Arjuna, and he's making eyes, and Subhadra's getting attracted to him, too. And so then Krishna encourages him to kidnap Subhadra, and then Balaram wants to intercede, and Krishna actually begs Balaram to accept this particular union, and then Balaram's happy and invites them back, and they have the ceremony. So that was another instance of the Rakshasa rite. Another wife of Krishna that married by the Rakshasa rite was Mitravinda, because the Avanti poor kings opposed that particular marriage. And also Lakshmana, who came from Madras. And so that's the Rakshasa rite. And the last type of rite is when a man, by stealth, seduces a girl who is sleeping, intoxicated, or disordered in intellect. That is the eighth, the most base and sinful rite of the Pisachas. That's pretty hellish. So, in other words, just by the Manusamhita mentioning these things, it's not recommending them. It's just analyzing the different types of marriages. Okay. But for Kshatriyas, it is recommended to have some sort of the Gandharva or Rakshasa, although they can have some of the other rites. So, I wanted to test you all to tell me which type of marriage this is. I'm going to describe different marriages. So, of Krishna's wives. So, there's Krishna married Kalindi. Krishna and Arjuna were by the bank of the Yamuna River, and this girl comes out and says, actually Krishna sends Arjuna over to ask, what she's doing and who she is. And Arjuna goes over and says, he refers to different parts of her body, which I'm not going to refer to in class. But he said, beautiful girl, what are you doing? And she says that I've taken a vow to marry Vishnu. And would you please introduce me or please bring me to Krishna? And so she and Krishna arranged to get married. So what type of marriage is that? What? Gandharva. Hey, let the other people answer. What? Yeah. Not in unison, no. Okay. So we already dealt with the Nagnajiti marriage. So there's Satyabhama, okay, Satyabhama and getting married to Krishna. Does everyone know that story? She was given by Satyajit to Krishna after Satyajit apologized to Krishna because he had accused Krishna of killing Prasanna, what is his name? Prasanna, whatever his name, his brother. So, what type of marriage is that? Anyone know? Mother Umbla, why don't you answer it? This is Brahma. It's a Brahma marriage. Obviously, it's a Brahma marriage. And, okay. Jambavati getting married to Krishna. Krishna fought her father, Jambavan, I think it was 27 days or something like that, in the cave to get back the Shaimantaka jewel. What type of marriage was that? What? No, because he was given her, so it's a Brahma marriage again. So, all right. And so, and then, let's see, the two other marriages. Bhadra, who was given a large dowry, and that was an arranged marriage. That's also a Brahma marriage. And then, let's see, Mitravinda, we already talked about. That was a Rakshasa marriage. And what about the 16,100 wives? What type of marriage was that? Yeah, that was a Gandharva marriage. Definitely, because they weren't given away. They begged Krishna to marry them, so that's considered a Gandharva marriage. Anyway, so I thought, yeah, sometimes it's described as a Rakshasa, and sometimes it's described as Krishna winning her by, actually, Krishna shot through the eye of a fish through a reflection. It's similar to Arjuna's winning. Yeah, it was harder than Arjuna's because somehow or other, in the Krishna book, it says that Arjuna could look directly. But I read it in the Krishna book yesterday. It said Krishna had to look at a reflection. And Arjuna tried to he hit the fish, but he didn't hit the eye of the fish. To Draupadi. Mine was more difficult than yours. So anyway, so these are some interesting types of marriage. I thought that would be a good commentary on this particular verse. Well, if the father of the bride is arranged, then he gives the bride away. So type of Brahma. There's a condition, but it's a type of Brahma marriage. It's not exactly a Rakshasa marriage. Rakshasa would be kidnapping. So there's a condition. What? No, not really. He's just showing his martial, he's qualified. He's showing the father that he's actually qualified to marry. Okay, any other questions? No, it's not. Basacha marriage is not all right. No, it's not all right. It's prohibited. But most of the marriages we have nowadays are like love marriages. Gandharva marriages.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham. Namahom Vishnu Vajaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Saminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurumani Vacha Neke Nivesesha Shunyavadi Matsya Jagati Satarane invitation in your body. Much a jungle days, a night. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurmata Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurmata Vrinda. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurmata Vrinda. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurmata Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Goloka Nana, Goloka Nana, Radhe. Jaya Radha Goloka Nana, Goloka Nana, Radhe. Jaya Radha. Hey, Radhe, 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 Radhe. Naya, Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa.
Shaitodarpanam Arjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrikavitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Punamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etad Rishita Vakriba Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadaram Najanam Nasundarim Gavidam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Oinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kribayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Nayanam Gala Shudaraya Varanam Gad Gada Rudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Aslishyavapadamratam Panastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Mat Prananatastu Saivanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and to be ready to offer all respects to others. Such state of mind one can recite, O Lord, constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will the voice choke up, and when will the hand on end of the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are from torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. Oh, no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shika Ki Jai.